Hi, I'm Peter Tragos, host of the Lawyer You Know podcast and YouTube channel. The saying goes, everyone hates lawyers until you need one. Well, I'm here when you need one to answer your questions and give you insight that you didn't know you needed. Along with my partners, Pete Sardis, the professor, who has a finance and business background, and George Tragos, my dad, and the consigliere, a criminal defense giant, we can answer any questions you have. What's up, everybody? We are here once again talking Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and we are going to go through what happens during jury deliberations, how the process works. We're going to talk about what they do. Then we're also going to talk about the actual verdict forms. We're going to look at the verdict forms together. It's going to be interesting to see all of the questions and how they're broken down and how it can be kind of confusing and how some of them kind of act or they overlap, and you have to answer these questions and come to the answer where it almost seems like you're asking the same question over and over again. Does it have a defamatory implication? Is it defamation? Is it false? Is it with actual malice? And we'll talk through all that and see how those questions kind of interact with each other and how we get to the final verdict. And then we'll talk numbers at the end. Yes, everybody's noticing the stash. Hopefully you love it. Because the glue from my Jack Sparrow beard braids would not come out. So I had to snip it and shave it and do everything I possibly could to get them out. So now we're here with just the old mustache, at least for today. I'm going on WFLA Channel 8 tomorrow, so I will probably get rid of the stash as well for that. But yeah, the stash is going to stay here for now. We'll see if we keep it. But yeah, I've got a new mic, so you guys let me know how the sound is on the mic. If it's too loud, too soft, whatever it may be, it is the purple mic. So we're going to have some fun tonight. It's going to be interesting. We're going to just talk through the process. So when we talk about jury deliberation, usually once the jury is given their instruction, they go back and the first thing they do is take a preliminary vote. But the judge said, in this case, don't do that. Don't take any strong stances. And because we don't want you to get too dug into where you can't necessarily be, you can't necessarily have your mind changed. So look through the evidence together, talk about it. People saying to turn the mic up a little bit. So let's do that. All right, I just turned the mic up. Hopefully I'm not blowing out anybody's eardrums now. I'm going on WFLA at like 8:55 or 9 o'clock. Don't worry, the facial hair will be back. Everybody's saying the sound is low. I turned it up, so let me know if that's better. So when we talk about they go back there, they start the process off usually by at least discussing kind of where they stand. Even if they don't take a vote right off the bat, they'll discuss kind of where they stand, how they feel about the case, what they think about the evidence and things like that. But when they really dig into it, they usually will have to re-review some of the jury instructions because they'll have questions. What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to look at? And go that way. People still saying it's a little low, so I'm going to turn it up just a little bit more. But when they go back there and they reread the jury instructions, especially when they've had 3 days off. So when you've had 3 days off, you probably forgot the boring instructions the judge read you on a Friday before a holiday weekend. I hope they haven't talked about the case with anybody, but I find that kind of hard to believe. So when they discuss the case, they read the jury instructions, then they will re-review a lot of the evidence. They have their own laptops. They probably have headphones. If some of them want to, listen to the tapes again or look at the pictures again, they can look at what they want to individually to help them make their decision. But most likely you'll have some leader jurors in there. Well, they have to figure out who the foreperson is going to be, but most of the time you'll have some leader jurors in there where they will discuss what they think was most important, why they are coming down on the side that they are coming down on, and they'll try to convince the jurors that are, we'll say against them or on the other side of their position using the evidence. If it doesn't help using the evidence, they will use other things as well. And so what we'll do is, people are complaining, of course, about everything. This video is not going to be the same. I'm using this computer because it goes with this mic. This mic is actually going to end up at my office. Old mic and iPad with the better camera. I'll be back, but just bear with me tonight, and we'll get through it together. So when we talk about what evidence is important, each juror might think a different piece of evidence is important, which is why they have to have all of it back there with them. When they talk about what pieces of evidence are important, it could differ from juror to juror, and they could try to convince each other. And as they go through the process, it's likely that they'll have questions. And when they have questions, usually in a normal trial, they will discuss what they'll have questions for the judge and the lawyers. And if they have questions for the judge and the lawyers, the way it works is they write it down and they give that question to the bailiff, and the bailiff brings that question to the judge. Usually the lawyers will come back to the courtroom, and we'll discuss whether or not that question should be answered. Sometimes in my cases, they'll say, does the defendant have insurance? And the insurance will not be admissible to talk about. So we'll have to object to it or say, no, they can't talk about the insurance or whatever it may be. So that could happen in this case where there is a question from the jury that can't be answered. It'll be put on the record what that question is. The lawyers can object to it, and they can tell the judge to send back an answer that is, we can't answer that question. If the lawyers can answer the question, the judge will handwrite an answer and send it back to the jury. So when they send it back to the jury will have their answer in writing from the judge. But it can't be an answer that is slanted one way or the other. But they may have questions throughout the process. They may ask to read transcripts of certain testimony. It sounds like this judge is not going to let them. They may want to watch a video depo that was played during the trial. The judge probably won't let them because it seems like they are not going to be allowed to use that back in the jury deliberation like they may be able to in other cases. So it's very, very interesting to see how this judge is going to handle this process, because every judge handles it a little bit different. And there's not a lot of things that are absolutes either way on the jury deliberation process. They don't have a minimum amount of time that they have to take. They can come back with a verdict in 10 minutes on Tuesday, but they can also take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days if they're still working towards a verdict. They will usually give the judge updates in reasonable intervals as to whether or not they're coming close to reaching a verdict. So they can tell the judge, we're not close at all. We want to leave at 5 o'clock today. Or they can say, judge, we think we're pretty close. Let us stay late. Let us stay till 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. We think we can come to a verdict tonight. They can give the judge an indication as to how they are doing. And that can be great, and that can be telling, and we can get to know that. But usually, one thing I was going to say about the jury questions, usually we will come in to the courtroom and handle these. But I don't think all the lawyers are staying in this location throughout the entirety of the week. Maybe they are, but if they're not, they could do it by Zoom with technology, how we have it today. They can do it by phone to talk about the questions. But then once the verdict comes, the judge said she's going to give them at least an hour. So at the top of the next hour, so if the verdict comes back at 10:30, it's not going to be 11, but 12. The top of the next hour is when she's actually going to read the verdict, give time to come in there and read the verdict appropriately so everybody can be there for it. I've heard reports that neither party is going to be there. I've heard reports that just Amber Heard's going to be there. So we'll just see what happens at that point. All right. So let me get to a couple questions here on jury deliberation first, and then we will jump into the verdict form and we'll answer those questions together. I know a lot of lawyers have been doing this on YouTube, so if you're bored with the content, I apologize for it. I'm going to just try to explain it because we'll have some fun with it, explaining what it's like to actually try to answer these questions, how confusing they can be, how much crossover there is, and how you actually pick a number at the end. You'll see how much guidance they get and what number they pick at the end. Daisy Beach, I saw on another channel they think Amber Heard's insurance is covering her defense costs. Would insurance pay for so many attorneys and experts? Yes, they would. I just don't know what insurance is exactly paying for it. I've heard her homeowners. That doesn't make any sense to me. Homeowners doesn't pay for intentional torts. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll pay for the defense, but under a reservation of rights, which basically means we don't think we have to pay this if we lose, but we will defend you. So they could defend the whole time. And if she gets a $50 million verdict at the end, they say, yeah, but that's an intentional tort, so we don't have to pay it. So that's possible. But if the insurance company is footing the bill for the defense, then they usually get to pick the lawyers. And the lawyers actually work for the defense company, not for the client. So it's a very interesting and different process if the insurance is hiring the lawyers and picking the lawyers versus Amber Heard doing it herself. Pai Chun Chu. If Johnny can't win this, who can? He does seem to have a better shot than most people to win a case like this. Lambry S is a new member. If you want to join our membership crew, the information is in the description of the video. And if you want to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, at Tragos Law is our handle. And subscribe to our page if you haven't already. We're almost at 110,000 subscribers. Every milestone is really fun to hit. Shan shares. No complaints or unsolicited opinion here. Just support for you and yours. And another thank you for all the time and patience you give us. Thank you, Shan. It's so nice when people say this because it is a lot, especially like on a holiday night and stuff. But I want to come do this before the jury came back with their verdict. If they come back with it tomorrow, it would be too late. I got a lot of work to do tomorrow. I might do a stream tomorrow night or at some point. We are dropping a Dan Markel trial recap tomorrow. So check that out because some people are asking for some other content. We have a lot of other content as well on this channel, and we'll be getting to it now that this trial is kind of coming to an end. Steph Morris, I heard that AH asked to keep the jury's names anonymous or something like that for a year. Why is that? That's just going to keep the public from hounding them. But if the jury actually wants to talk about the case, they can do that. The judge isn't stopping the jury from talking about it. Jamie, Pete, you rule. So happy your channel is taking off. It's so deserved. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that. April Wright, how do they choose an unbiased jury? The best they can, by asking a lot of questions and having a conversation with them to determine what biases they might have toward or against Johnny Depp or Amber Heard or about defamation or about these lawyers or about the process. You just do the best you can, and you hope that you have an unbiased jury that's just going to come in there and answer these questions we're about to go through honestly. Beverly LM, how do you think the jury will think about Amber Heard saying that all JD witnesses stated it, that all JD witnesses stating it is their story? How do you think the jury will think about Amber Heard saying that all JD? Beverly, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're asking in this question. Lauren Hers, have you ever seen a jury's internet usage be monitored over a long weekend? No. I know it sounds ridiculous, but in such cases, seems less intense than sequestering. I agree it seems less intense, but it's still an invasion of these jurors' privacy. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to make it any harder to be a juror or any worse to be a juror. Cheryl Talsma, question, could the jury have come to a verdict already and think we will figure out the money next week? Thanks for everything. They could have all said, okay, we all think Johnny's going to win, but let's come back next week and hash out how much. Absolutely. That could have happened. Not saying it is, but could have. Mega Pints, what have you learned from this trial that you can apply to your own future trials? I think I've learned from talking to all of you that once a juror or people like you that are potential jurors are with a side and with a lawyer, some of the little nuances like reading your closing arguments, for example, everybody was hammering on me for saying that. I still stand by it. But what I'm thinking is the little things that maybe don't go perfectly in trial, the jurors that already believe your client and are behind you and believe in your case, those little things are not going to make the difference. And so I think sometimes we put too much of a burden on stylistic things as lawyers, but really the content is key. And I think presenting it in a way that's understandable by a jury or to a jury, because Elaine using no notes, people were, and me included, it's like, I'm not really sure what she was trying to get out of it. Camille Vasquez, who read a lot of hers, but we understood where she was going with it. So I think there could be a good mix. And while I still like to present with an outline and without reading a lot of notes, I think making sure you go slowly and methodically. And, as I always try to do, having a plan and a structure, a beginning and a middle and an end, and words are important and definitions are important. That little things we don't need to be so, sometimes the type A in me and the control freak in me wants it all to be perfect. So that's something I've learned is that, people still stick with you if they believe your client and believe their side. Alyssa is a new member. Speaking of members, Wayne Lang, our first member. Thank you for the super sticker. And Linda Dickey, thank you for the super chat. AH called all witnesses were liars. Okay. It was AH's story. So yeah, I think that they're going to have to determine who they think is most credible. And that's really what it's going to come down to. And who they decide is most credible is who's going to win this case. That's really what I think it comes down to. All right, let's get to those jury instructions. See if I can pick the right screen here to share. So I've got a couple of them up here to talk through. And we'll just go to the first one because they're all the same, just using different statements. Let me make sure you can see all this. Okay. All right. So when talking about what questions these jurors have to answer, They try to break it down. This is a special verdict form. Sometimes we have uniform ones that are easy and used in every case. But as far as this goes, this is a special verdict form that the lawyers had to come up with together. And what's interesting and what you'll notice is same claim, right? Defamation, but different questions. We're going to go through Johnny's claims first, and then we're going to go through Amber's claims, but they have different questions that they use for defamation. That's because the lawyers kind of picked it a different way, which is very interesting. Very, very interesting to me. People saying the like amount is very low from 4,500 people watching. So go hit that like button. All right. So first on, this is Misheard. So let's go up to Johnny's first. Sorry. So here we go. Mr. Depp's claim against Misheard. This special form includes each of the statements on which Johnny C. Depp bases his claim of defamation against Amber Heard. Answer the questions in accordance with the court's instructions. Number 1, as to this statement appearing in the op-ed entitled Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath that has to change in the Washington Post's online edition. You notice that it says online edition. I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. This has to change. So most people think that if Johnny Depp is only going to win on one statement, this would be the one. So we're just going to stick here, and it's all the same questions for all the other statements. So 1A, do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? That's what we're getting to. So yes or no. If you answered yes, please answer yes or no to the following questions. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Now, they tried to argue that the ACLU wrote it or that her tweeting it wasn't really publishing it. To me, this seems pretty simple. So you guys let me know. Do you think that it was made or published by Ms. Heard? And I think the consensus is going to be yes on this one. All right. Most people are coming through yes. Next question. Was the statement about Mr. Depp? And this is another one that seems pretty clear. Even she admitted that it was referencing him. And I think they quibbled on, was this about Mr. Depp, saying, it was about being a victim. Johnny's the only one that thinks it was about him. She was just making a statement or kind of explaining that, Johnny's a narcissist. They think it's always about him, but it was clearly about him. She admitted that much on the stand. So that one, again, I think is an easy yes. So here's the hard one. The statement was false. So she said under oath that he violated her with the bottle. So this is one where you have to say, if I'm answering this question, yes, that this statement was false, Amber Heard was lying on the stand. Or by the greater weight of the evidence, I don't find her statements credible when comparing and balancing it with all of the other evidence. And to me, the reason I picked this one is this is the one that I have the easiest time saying yes, that this statement was false. The other ones, did he ever hit her? Was she a victim? That's tough. But I feel like this is yes, that the chat agrees at this point. So let's keep going. The statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp. And a defamatory implication based on the other jury instructions, which I'm looking at, but you're still looking at the questions, says a statement is not directly defamatory, but may nonetheless suggest a defamatory meaning in an indirect way. That is by implication. In determining whether any of the statements have a defamatory implication, you must consider the op-ed as a whole and the circumstances surrounding its publication. You should consider if these circumstances show that the words used are defamatory and relate to Mr. Depp. However, such circumstances cannot extend the meaning of the words used in the op-ed beyond their ordinary and common meaning. The proposed implication must be reasonably drawn from the words actually used. This is really interesting because Rottenborn and Elaine basically throughout the entire trial tried to say Johnny Depp's texts and emails said things that they didn't really say. Very, very interesting to me. And so when you consider a defamatory implication based on the op-ed, to me, there's no doubt at the height of the Me Too movement that bringing Johnny Depp into this and saying he did all the things that she says he did and how she had to feel the wrath, it's more than an implication to me. Next question. Due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp. And this again is the retweeting more than the publishing of the ACLU? So they don't break it down like that. So I think there are two ways you can answer this question. Yes. First, did Amber Heard work with the ACLU to get it published in the Washington Post? And if she did, you can answer that question. Yes. If you feel like the ACLU did this with the Washington Post, but then Amber Heard retweeted it, and if we have to determine whether or not that retweeting was a new publication, the jurors are going to have to use their brains and what they know about Twitter. And whether or not you're publicizing or republishing something on Twitter. And this is an interesting discussion. So if I retweet the article, is that a republication? And I would say the answer is no, because I'm republishing it so people can see what somebody else said about somebody. But if Amber Heard republishes her own writing and her own statements, to me, that's different. That's different to me. I think that she does republish it to a new audience, which again is not what this says. It says publish it to somebody other than Mr. Depp, which to me is an obvious yes, but the arguments made around it was a new audience, which I think she did. I do. Last question, 1B. If you answered yes to each of the subparts of question 1A, answer the following question. By the way, if you notice up here, if you answer no, you just skip to question 2, which means no money for this first count. 1B, if you answered yes to each subpart of the question 1A, answer the following question. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence, this is the higher burden, not beyond a reasonable doubt, but higher than greater weight of the evidence, Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Misheard acted with actual malice. Actual malice requires clear and convincing evidence that Misheard either knew that what she was writing was false or that she acted with reckless disregard for the truth. And so this is now basically asking the same question we asked ourselves earlier. Is this statement false? But it's a higher burden. And here's something that's really interesting to me. If I ask you these two questions and I tell you they have two different burdens, one is a greater weight of the evidence and one is clear and convincing. Did you all in the chat, and let me know, let's be honest and let's try to think critically here, because that's what's helpful for everybody. Don't just say yes. Don't just say I'm here for Johnny, but just on either one, because we're going to do the same thing with Johnny. If I ask you those two very similar questions, but they have two different burdens, and you're back there in the jury room, because I think Johnny Depp's lawyers did a good job of downplaying this, and Amber Heard's didn't do a good enough job of really highlighting the difference in burden. Are you looking at these two statements differently? Are you answering, is there any way that you think you could answer, yes, she made the statements falsely by the greater weight of the evidence, but no, that she didn't do it without actual malice by clear and convincing evidence? Is that something that could change your mind, the difference in burdens? Do you understand my question? Because I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but it's basically the same question with two different burdens. Like, do you think that what she said was false? And then are you pretty positive that what she said was false? Yeah, most people are saying no, nope, didn't. It's tricky though. And people are saying yes to both, but I think people are getting my point that no, I don't think most people and most lay people and jurors are going to answer this question differently, which is a problem I have in the law. And it almost makes me feel like defamation should just be clear and convincing evidence. If one element of it is clear and convincing evidence, then to me it's tough to have these two different burdens in the same process, and it's hard to make sure the jury understands the gravity of actual malice. Very interesting. Just kind of a philosophical conversation, we can have with each other here. All right. So I'm going to skip through questions 2 and 3, but let's just assume we answered at least one of them yes. So now we get to the damages. And how does the jury come up with a number? Does the judge explain to them, you can take Pirates of the Caribbean, Fantastic Beasts. Don't look at the divorce settlement. Look at how much emotional damage. No. This is how simple they break it down. As against Amber Heard, state the amount of compensatory damages, if any, you believe Johnny Depp has proven by a greater weight of the evidence that he is entitled to recover. So once again, the clear and convincing is gone. All throughout this jury verdict form, it says greater weight of the evidence. And I think that's all the jury's going to see. I don't think they're going to give any difference at all to the clear and convincing burden. We, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of blank. That's it. That is the full explanation they get. In our verdict forms, when we describe compensatory damages, we say medical bills incurred in the past, medical bills to be incurred in the future. And when we talk about pain and suffering, we put in parentheses and we say loss of enjoyment of life, inconvenience, permanent scarring, all the things that should be considered by the jury for pain and suffering. We give them kind of more of a definition. But this to me is so different and it's so interesting. It's totally vague. And I don't think they did a really specific job on damages. So I think the damages could be $1. I think the damages could be $25 million based on Pirates. I think it could be $7 million based on the divorce settlement. I think it could be $50 million because that's the number Johnny Depp's team kept saying. I think it could be $100 million because that's what Amber Heard's team said. Or I think it could be $500 billion because they really, really want to send a message. Everybody is doing a great job in the chat of giving me their different. So somebody said 30 million plus court costs. You can't put the plus court costs in there as a jury. A lot of people saying 100 million, 50 million, 7 million, and $1, 25 million plus 7. So I'm seeing all these different calculations. At the end of the day, we as the jury would have to come together and give an average or an answer we all can agree to and we all can stomach. But then we have the next question, which we barely heard anything about. And that's against Amber Heard, the state the amount of punitive damages, if any, to which you find John C. Depp II is entitled to recover. And punitive damages, did anybody catch how much punitive damages? What would you give for punitive damages? Throw some numbers out there now. So this is actually incorrect. So let me see who put this on the screen. This is an interesting comment. So Faith, and I'm not calling you out. It's just a good explanation. Greater weight of the evidence is 51%, whereas clear and convincing should be above 66.666. And yes, I could judge them differently, but I doubt that most would vote yes on one and no on the other. So that's a good point. But let me talk to you about the percentages. Greater weight of the evidence is actually 50%. 0.000001. It's anything above 50%. It does not have to get all the way to 51%. That's semantics. Clear and convincing is actually not 66.6. There is no specific percentage on clear and convincing. It's higher than greater weight and lower of beyond a reasonable doubt. Very interesting. So now I'm seeing some people for punitives say 100 million punitives, 7 million, 57 million, and a lot of 350,000 because you guys are very smart. 350. Yeah, Beverly has it right. And as a plaintiff's lawyer, I love it. 50% plus a grain of sand. That is the proper way to look at greater weight of the evidence. $1 billion in punitives. 350,000 is the correct number if you want to go max out punitives. Because in this jurisdiction, 350,000 is the cap. So even if you give $1 billion, the judge will limit it to 350,000. I don't think anybody really explained the purpose of punitive damages in closing arguments. Punitive damages are meant to punish the party involved and punish the wrongdoing and keep people in the future that are similarly situated from doing this type of action. I don't feel like I heard that enough. And when we have a punitive damages case, we dive in heavy to that. We also don't have the $350,000 cap, so that's probably why. Because if you're suing McDonald's, $350,000 is not that big of a deal to them. The weather has just turned very ugly here. So if I cut out, I love you all and good night. If the weather cuts me out. All right. So I think the average was somewhere around 25 million and then 350,000 for punitives based on the chat as I read through them. Now let's go to Misheard's special verdict form. This special verdict form includes each of the statements for which Amber Heard bases her claim of defamation against Johnny Depp. Answer the questions in accordance with the court's instructions. As to this statement appearing in the April 8th, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and a shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation, yes or no? If you answered yes, please answer yes or no to the following questions. Has Ms. Heard proven by a greater weight of the evidence that Mr. Waldman, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement? And here's why I would answer no to that. The question is not, is Mr. Waldman Johnny Depp's agent? That answer would be yes. Is Mr. Waldman, single one says, I'm here in Clearwater with you, lightning like crazy. Yes, it is. The question is not, is Adam Waldman Johnny Depp's agent? Because that answer would be yes. Adam Waldman is, but for a fact, Johnny Depp's agent. The question instead is, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement. So did he do that on Mr. Depp's behalf? And I really don't think we have any evidence of that. I really don't think we do. So I would have to answer that no, but some of you may answer it yes, although I see a lot of no's. Was the statement about Ms. Heard? That clearly is yes. Was the statement seen by someone other than Mrs. Heard? Clearly that answer is yes. So if you did answer yes to one, I think 2 and 3 were in fact yes, easy yeses. But do you notice there's not as many questions here, and it's a very different set of questions. But we have here the very important one. The statement was false. And this will absolutely be the tipping point. And if I was the foreperson of the jury, I would say, let's put these up side by side and let's explain how we're going to answer these two questions. Because if one is false, the other is probably true. They both can't be true. They both can't be false. Right? So that's probably what I would do. And then if they answer that yes, they have to determine whether or not, by clear and convincing evidence this time, it was made with actual malice. And then, after we go through all the statements, she has the same questions about has the same questions about damages, which I think is interesting. So somebody told me that clear and convincing definition is in there, and yes, it is. So let's take a look at it. Let me see if I can remove this one and share the other one. So here's the definition of clear and convincing evidence. When a party has the burden of proving the issue by clear and convincing evidence, he or she must produce evidence that creates in your minds a firm belief or conviction that he or she has proved the issue. This is lawyers writing definitions that both defense lawyers and plaintiff's lawyers agree on. All right, let's see the definition of greater weight of the evidence. Preponderance of the evidence / greater weight. When used in these instructions, the phrase the greater weight of the evidence, also sometimes called the preponderance of the evidence, means the evidence which you find more persuasive. When evaluated against all of the evidence that has been admitted in this case, the testimony of one witness whom you believe can be the greater weight of the evidence. This is something I use a lot in our trials, especially if I was Johnny Depp's lawyers. I would have put this one up on the screen, although she said only evidence, right? And that's another thing that makes no sense to me. You should be able to put the jury instructions and these definitions up on the screen too. But the point is, you see how vague these definitions are. It's not 51%. It's not even 50.1%. It's not 66%. It's not 2/3. There's no percentage. There are these definitions that lawyers write. Yes, defense lawyers and plaintiffs' lawyers write these questions, these statements, these definitions. I'm on the Florida Civil Rules Procedure Committee for the Florida Bar. We write these definitions, and it is so difficult. Now, it's awesome to be a part of it, because if you're the ones arguing about it and writing it, you know this stuff, you know how the rules work, you know what the spirit is behind the rules. So that's good. But sometimes as we're reading them, I'm like, guys, this makes no sense. How are non-lawyers going to understand this? But we got to do the best we can. All right. Let's get to some questions here. And we can do Johnny Depp, Amber Heard Q&A. And if you guys have other questions, feel free. I've got about 24, maybe 25 minutes left, maybe 30 minutes left tonight to answer as many questions as we can get to. So if you've got questions, now's the time to get them in. It's going to be an interesting discussion. Everybody asked me how long it's going to take. I had a very strong feeling it was going to take longer than one day. I saw a lot of people saying they thought they'd have a verdict Friday. I never thought that. So I thought longer than one day, less than 3 days. So I think either Tuesday or Wednesday, we're going to have a verdict. And if they stay late, that's a good sign that they're making headway. If they leave early, not a good sign. Thank you, Linda. Jelly Don't Shake. Maybe the Murdaugh case. Yeah, when stuff pops on it, let me know. And again, I want you guys to choose the content. So that is a wild case. I've done a few videos on it. A lot of you are new to the channel, I realize. Throughout this trial, it's grown immensely. I've done a couple videos on the Murdaugh case, and I think they're really interesting. I mean, that case is crazy, especially the one where he helped his housekeeper who passed away slipping and falling on his stairs sue his own insurance company, then stole the money from them. It's a wild story. So check out our videos on the Murdaugh case. Very interesting. Joe Andrikin, thank you. Miami girl, her homeowners and umbrella may cover and subrogate against ACLU. I don't think so. I think she may have to have some kind of special errors and omission or liability or something in her umbrella coverage. Maybe. I don't think her homeowners is going to cover it. I've never seen a homeowners policy that would cover defamation. And I've sued a lot of people with homeowners insurance. So, but I could be wrong. SLH. Question. Thanks for providing this forum. Absolutely. I've heard the jury will have to believe all or none of what Amber Heard said. Can you explain? That is wrong. They can. The fact finder, meaning the jury, can pick and choose what they believed and what they didn't believe. Now, Camille Vasquez and I said I would argue all or nothing, because that's better for Johnny Depp, because there are some things that you just can't believe that Amber Heard said. But there are other things that she could have been telling the truth on. Sabrina Harrietto. JD's team didn't point out that WH had a different story of the stair incident. I agree with you. Do you think that was a miss or just hope the jury caught it? I think it was a miss. Because not only did it actually happen where it was an inconsistent statement, but I think it was actually the opposite. I think it's more likely the jury didn't catch it rather than they would catch it on their own. Excuse me. I think that, yeah, they definitely should have pointed it out, at least to plant the seed of doubt that even Whitney Heard's story didn't line up with Amber's. Gene Hughes, in my opinion, you are the best online lawyer because you are patient, thorough, professional, and a gentleman. Yes, I believe AH lied about the bottle. Thank you, Gene. That was very nice. Very nice comment. USS J4 Broly. Are they required to answer all this, or can they just skip ahead and be in favor of someone? JD for the win. No. The only way they skip the questions is if they answer no, then they skip to the end. But if they answer yes, they need to answer every single one of these yes. If they don't, they will be sent back there to finish it. At least that's how it would be in this jurisdiction. So I guess if it's the same as here, they would have to answer every single question. Sandy D, are there jury instructions that apply to most defamation cases, or are they typically tailored to the case? Love the look. Dennis Eckersley, old school. Thank you. There are form instructions for all civil causes of actions, but usually we edit them at least a little bit. In almost every case, we're editing them a little bit. Sobia Nushin, there was no metadata on the similar picture. AH was so confident. Will the jury get the metadata? If not, will they know why they don't have the metadata? Will this help Depp? What they're getting is what you heard in trial. No more, no less. So if the metadata was blocked out, they're not getting it. If the metadata was in, which it was on some of them, they're getting it. They got no explanation really about how metadata works, why they don't have it. So they're going back there with the information you and I saw in trial. Nicholas Stero, I have 20 years in the legal field, so it's a yes for me. Yeah, I think I saw in another stream, Nicholas, you said, I can't remember what field you said you were in that did cross over into the legal field and you did a lot of work in it. I can't remember if you're a caseworker or in some kind of expert. I can't remember, but yeah, I've noticed you've commented a couple times you have experience in the field. So from your experience, you would answer yes, I assume, on Johnny's claims. Michelle Woods, love your new look. Thank you. Looks like you should be a NASCAR driver or a moonshine maker. Beverly Alford, did you see Paul McCartney while in your backyard, Orlando, last night? Surprised the audience with a video of Depp playing guitar as McCartney played piano. I also saw Johnny Depp was playing in a concert with Beck or something, which is interesting. And it seems like he is getting back to it at least, which is good. Michelle Canestrino, does Malice have to be against Johnny Depp or just against the truth? Like if her motive was just attention? No. Good question, Michelle. It has to be against Johnny Depp. She can't just have because the actual malice is that it's just a lie. The actual malice, so there's two different answers here, depending on which question you're answering. The malice has to be against, and the defamation has to be against Johnny Depp, wanting to hurt and damage Johnny Depp. But the lying, either acting with disregard for the truth or knowingly lying, that's just is what it is, lying, not telling the truth. But everything has to be directed at Johnny Depp. Lauren Hertz, loved yesterday's live. Your wife, dad, colleagues, tell them thank you. Please consider significant prep if JD loses. This seems easier for lawyers, so please share your coping skills. Devastation equals an understatement. So win or lose, let's just say, I think we all agree he has done what he wanted to do, told his truth, gotten the weight lifted off his shoulders, and people seem to have welcomed him back with open arms. I've heard rumblings of Beetlejuice. He's already back on stage. So at least he feels like he's on the upswing. So if he loses in the court of law, maybe the win in the court of public opinion was what he was really going for, and he got that. So that's just a little preview in case he loses. Mega Pints, the definition of clear and convincing and greater weight of the evidence are explained in the jury instructions. Yes, we got to those. I prefer you with a beard. Thank you, Azam. Renee Cassandra, do you think the jury will want to come across balanced and logical? For me, I think $1 billion would be absurd and show extreme thinking. 50 million would be balanced. I think that you're right, that 50 billion or some crazy number is usually going to make the appellate courts raise their eyebrows, like maybe some inadmissible evidence did make a difference in this case. So I think Johnny's best bet is somewhere between 25 and 50 million in the range he was asking for. I think is his best case scenario for him. But I actually don't think, I think he'd love it if they gave him $1 billion and then the judge had to drop it down. Even if appeals went on, he'd be like, that's right. Not just the public, but this jury is with me, hook, line, and sinker. On the Rebel 11. Unbiased layman here. I've watched 6 weeks of LawTube coverage by countless popular lawyers. You are the best by far. Shocked that you only have 100,000 subscribers. Do you guys agree, or is it just me? Well, on the Rebel, that's very kind. I don't think I've ever heard somebody say only 100,000 subscribers. So you're setting your sights high for the channel. So let's hope we can get there. It's been kind of a slow, it was funny. Like when we hit 100, then it was kind of like hitting a wall. And it's been like a very slow trickle up from there. So tell your friends, like the video. Let's keep the subs growing. But thank you on the Rebel 11. And let me know in the chat if you agree with him. Let me know in the comments for the rewatch crew. Maria S., note to us, please don't go after Elaine too hard. Everyone deserves representation in court. Elaine probably will have nightmares from dealing with AH. LOL. I agree. I don't think anybody should go after any lawyers or any professionals for doing their opinion. I mean, for doing their job, no matter what your opinion is of how they did or whether you agree with their stance. I think this is a great comment, Maria. So thank you. Human ID. How will Johnny Depp fans cope when he loses? So it seems like you think he's going to lose. I think they'll say, somebody was biased. The jury was bought and paid for. The judge was biased. That's probably what will happen. That'll probably be the sentiment of everybody. But I think it was about as good of a trial as he could have gotten. So if he loses, I don't know how a second trial would do much better. Adam, JD performed at a concert in the UK yesterday and got a standing ovation. Glad to see he's getting positive attention now. Thank you, Adam. Bev, jury will want to be home for dinner tomorrow night. We'll have a verdict before the end of the day. Question, once jury reaches a verdict and sends it to the judge, how long till the decision is announced? The judge said she's going to read it at the top of the next hour. She gave the example of if I get the verdict at 10:20 or 10:30, I will read it at noon, the top of the next hour, not 11, which is the top of the hour, but give it everybody a whole at least 60 minutes notice. Jono, kudos to Johnny playing at the Beck concert this weekend. I'd be sitting clock watching, so I applaud he's moving forward regardless of the trial outcome and living his life. Yes, and he's been dealing it with for 6+ years. So, he's probably sick of sitting around and waiting. Megapints, could she have a personal liability policy that would cover these attorney's fees? Yes, that's possible. Barbara Sturbeck, I was neutral at the beginning of this. I have felt that Amber Heard overdid her case and lied about so much. Do you think that the jury would have been in the same boat? I think it's very possible. Very possible. I kind of feel the same way, actually. I feel like the mountain that she described is what really made me kind of go against her. All right, I got the most important opinion on how the mic sounds, and he said it sounds great. Or sorry, he said it sounds money. So I'm going to stick with it. Reading Frenzy. According to Tug, investigators revealed AH has a rider on her homeowner's insurance to cover defamation. To me, that's very interesting. I wonder when she purchased that rider, that would have been something I think would have been relevant to the case. If this is true, it's unusual. And I wonder if she purchased it before writing the op-ed for the Washington Post. And if she did, that's hook, line, and sinker that she knew that this could be a problem. I wonder what the policy is. I guarantee it ain't for $50 million. Interesting. Bobby Cat, how fun was it taking that eyeliner off? Welcome to my world. Great job on your Captain Jack. Thank you, Bobby. Actually, my wife gave me this coconut oil. So I washed everything off with water in the shower first. Then this coconut oil, rubbed it on there pretty good, and it was great. The only miserable part was the glue, the beard glue, which was eyelash glue to stick those 2 beard braids on. Couldn't get it off. Sorry, Bobby Cat. Couldn't get it off. And so I had to actually cut those beard pieces off and then shave it. It was pretty brutal. Sabrina, Amber didn't turn in text. Why not in the jury instruction? Judicial discretion. Megapints, whose hair will be longer in 1 year, yours or your wife's? Definitely my wife's. Her hair is very long, and I keep trimming mine up. Amy Sadler, the question is, if Johnny wins and Amber loses, do you think Amber will appeal despite saying she just wants us to be over? Thanks. Yes, I think she will appeal. If she loses for $1, maybe not. But if she loses for a significant amount of money, I would be shocked if she didn't appeal. Stella by the Sea, I would vote for Johnny if I knew that bruises were fake when she went for the TRO. Malice. How would you know that they were fake? I guess that means you would believe Camille's questions about those other pictures that were post TRO. Carrie Lee 501. EB misstated definition of malice in closing. Sanctions. No, not sanctions. Lawyers are allowed to argue. If they give an improper definition, it's up to the other side to object and correct it. Stay strong. It'd be great to see you and Papa Tragos have a weekly show. I'm sure many will tune in. We will do more of them. Probably not going to be weekly, but we will do more of them. Glenn L., can you say hi to my wife, Linda, in Australia? Yes, I can. Hello, Glenn's wife in Australia. Thanks for tuning in. Us J4 Broly. I meant doing the paper at all and just skipped with the verdict. Yes, they have to. They don't have to. They don't have to read all of the jury instructions. They can skip that. They can skip all of the jury instructions, but they can't skip all of the questions and just go to the number. Mr. Weebus. Love the hat. I've been a Bucks fan since 78. You are now my favorite lawyer of all time. Thank you, Mr. Weebus. Things have been fun since Tommy got here, and hopefully things are looking up this year. Been a Bucks fan my whole life too. I remember the Battle of the Bay used to be such a big deal. Me and my dad used to go to this restaurant and watch the Packers versus the Bucks when the two Green Bay and Tampa Bay played each other. It was fun times. Matt Rizzo, thank you. Grant McRoberts, who do you think is winning the trial now? All the testimony's been done. I was 80% Depp, but Ben Rottenborn closing had put me at 50%. The beginning of his closing I thought was really good, and it made me think it's possible I could vote in favor, not in favor of Amber. Amber's counterclaim is a no for me for multiple reasons. But Ben Rottenborn's the early part of his closing made me think maybe I just say no and both of them lose. I would be probably giving Johnny nominal damages and a win. Not in the millions, I would say. Maybe $1 in compensatory damages, $350,000 in punitives. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. I could be talked into lower damages. I'll just put it that way if I was on the jury. Matt Rizzo goes Steelers. Mona Nugent. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to click like. Thank you, Mona. That's very nice of you. Melanie Casio. Sorry, just got here. Do we know if they're standing by for the verdict? No, they're not. I think it'd be a bad look to make the jurors go through this and then not show up. Oh, you meant the clients. We don't know. I've heard differing reports. The latest report I heard is Johnny's not going to come and Amber is, but I've heard they're both not going to show up. I've heard they're both going to be there. I don't feel like any of the reporting in this case has been clear. It's not a criminal case. It's a civil case. The rules are much more lax. Who's going to get called, who's not. We have the other trial in the UK that was very different. So I think it's hard to really get concrete reporting as to what's exactly going to happen. Mandy Dingle, thank you. Carrie Barton, your thoughts. Johnny really wanted on reputation and career back. Yeah, I mean, I think he got that. I really think he got that from all accounts. Matt Rizzo, do you think Amber Heard's legal team focused grouped the case? Yes, I think they did. Be interesting to see what the results of that was. Stay strong. Cove Oil, Wise Wife. Mike sounds great. Off topic. Do you check all your emails or is it screened? I sent one a while ago concerning an issue. So I check most of them. Some of them do go like Rachel will read them first and then forward them along to me if they're a case question versus, if somebody's entering to win something, she'll usually read them first. So some of them get screened, but I see most of the ones that are case questions. So send it again because I don't think I saw it from you. Although a lot of people have screen names that are different than their actual name. So if you put "Stay Strong" in your email, I'll remember this and remember you and reference it, and I'll get back to you. Some of the ones that are so here's one thing that could be delayed just for everybody to listen to. In case anybody doesn't know, I'm a plaintiff's personal injury lawyer. Car accident, slip and falls, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, negligent security cases is what we focus on. We do some criminal defense. If it is another practice area and you send an email in, I am immediately reaching out to my contacts in other states, other jurisdictions, and other practice areas. So I am at their mercy. So I try to get back really quickly, as quick as I can, to all of them within a couple days. But some people don't get back to me. Like, I'm still waiting from a contact in Colorado to get back to me. I'm still waiting for a contact in Canada to get back to me. I'm still waiting for a contact in different places to get back to me with some of these recommendations for lawyers. So if I never get back to you, usually it's because they don't get back to me. But I'm trying to wait so I can actually give real information to hook you up with somebody that can help you if it's something I can't help you in. If it's a car accident, slip and fall injury case, I get back immediately and we'll get on the phone. We'll do a consultation because I want to be able to provide that help to people that I can. That's where I can give actual legal advice, is in a consultation, not here, not in the comments, not in the chats, not during the videos, which I think everybody understands at this point. That's the one good thing about there being so many lawyers on YouTube, is we all help understand that. Nicholas, about he bar for sanctions, Leibowitz case. Not sure what you're referencing, which sanctions. Azam, I like your review. I am a late sub. Awesome. I binged your videos from the beginning. What would be your verdict? I'm a teacher, just wondering. Love from Malaysia. My verdict would be in favor of Johnny Depp. I would rule in favor of Johnny Depp. I might do it as kind of a compromise verdict because I'm not sure that Amber Heard was lying about everything. I don't feel positive about that. I do feel sure that that bottle incident, I do not think is true. So the count that we read, I would rule in favor for Johnny Depp, probably only that count. The other two, I would just say no. Wasn't enough there to convince me. I would definitely say no on Amber Heard's counterclaim. And then I could be talked into anywhere from $1 to $25 million of a verdict amount of the damages. It's just me personally. Doesn't mean it's the right answer at all. Veronica T. I don't think $1 gives Amber accountability for her actions. So say she can't pay $50 million, but it shows that if her accusations were not true, she needs to be accountable for that behavior. Nakia Wilson, not sure if you've touched on this before. What are punitive damages? P.S. Just finished watching the 100K live. You were a good Captain Jack. Thank you so much, Nakia. So yeah, punitive damages, they're supposed to explain that to us. And I don't think they really did in closing or throughout the case. Punitive damages have one purpose, and it is to punish behavior. It is to deter action. So everybody knows about the McDonald's coffee spill case. They got punitive damages for having the coffee so hot that it had, whatever degree burns on the person's lap. The reason for that is they wanted McDonald's and other fast food chains to care and pay more attention and not put people in risk of serious harm. So they gave them punitive damages. And when you do punitive damages, it's supposed to hurt the actor. But certain jurisdictions have caps on punitive damages in certain causes of action. And here there's a cap, in this case, on punitive damages of $350,000. So if they want to punish either party, don't punish them with compensatory damages. Compensatory damages is supposed to compensate the victim. So it's only supposed to be the money they actually lost. So they lost it, for emotional damages, or they lost, which is an art. So it's kind of difficult to put a number on that. But if he lost Pirates, 25 million, if he lost Fantastic Beast, 20 million, whatever it was, then you want to make sure that those compensatory damages can actually be connected to something specific. Punitive is a little more vague, and it's just to punish. So if you really want to hurt somebody, you give them punitives. You don't hurt somebody with the amount of compensatory damages, which is why the judge would limit the compensatory damages and bring them down if they gave $1 billion in compensatory damages. Carrie Barton, I meant to say money is not that important to Johnny as his reputation and career. This sounds better. LOL. Sorry. Got it, Carrie. Thank you. Stay strong. Typo wife, coconut oil. I'll put stay strong in the subject. Perfect. Thank you. Mandy Dingle. How do you think the jury felt about Amber staring at them and talking at them constantly? Also, the tissue deal. I don't think the tissue deal was that big of a deal, but based on every non-lawyer's response to how she looked at them to answer every question, I would say they didn't like it. I don't think they enjoyed her looking at them as she answered every question. I really don't. I really don't. All right. That is the last Johnny Depp question I have in the queue right now. But let's talk a little bit about the channel and what's going on, what's happening going forward. So we will continue to post multiple videos a week. I don't know if we'll do a live every single night. Actually, I know we won't do a live every single night, but we will do a couple lives at night throughout the week. We'll post some static videos as well. I know the Markel case, even though this first retrial is over, there's still one more defendant that will potentially get tried. We're definitely following that. We're definitely following the Vallow and Daybell case. We're definitely following the Murdaugh case. We're definitely following the Balwani case and the Aiden Fucci case. We will definitely follow the Crumley parents case. And then a lot more things that you guys are interested in. I also have gotten a lot of questions about LSAT, college and majors best for lawyers, law school, the bar. So we'll also do some stuff on that. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know and we can put that together as well. We're going to post some stuff in the community to get some more content. Hit us up on Twitter and Instagram at Tragos Law. We have a lot of fun on there as well. And yeah, let's get to 1 million subscribers, Doug said. We did a lot on the Ghislaine Maxwell case, Deborah. So check that out. Marilyn Manson, because of this, yeah, a lot of people want Marilyn Manson coverage. So I will put that on my list as well. Yeah, we will do the Crumley parents. Yes, we've done some on those. Check out our page. If you guys haven't already, check out our page because we've done a lot on the Crumley parents already. We've done a lot on the Murdaugh case. We've done a lot on Alec Baldwin. We've done a lot on Vallow. We've done a lot on Balwani. We've done a lot on Elizabeth Holmes. So check those out because we have a lot of videos on there. I'd love to know what you guys think about them already. Kind of can get my angle on them and how we're breaking them down. So go let me know. Go comment over there. If you're interested in those, go like those videos. Get those views and likes up on those so that I know and I can recognize that's content that people want. Lighthouse Prayer Forge. What is the process for jury selection for such a high-profile case? What's the process of elimination against bias? This went way faster than I was expecting on a case like this that's this high profile, but you have to ask the questions. Do you know who these people are? Is that going to affect your ability to be fair and impartial? Why? What do you think? What do you know about this? Have you ever been a part of a defamation? This is way different than a criminal case or a car accident case because tons of people have been in car accidents. Tons of people have been injured. Tons of people have heard of criminal cases, had somebody arrested that they know, been a victim of a crime, or dealt with law enforcement. So those are sometimes harder than like a random cause of action like defamation that a lot of people probably don't have serious feelings on. They may have feelings about the parties because they're celebrities, but not the actual cause of action. So it's different than a lot of other cases, not necessarily harder or easier. Sabrina, which Amber accusation do you believe out of 14? I get it. I guess what I'm saying is I don't know if I feel convinced that Johnny Depp never did anything that would be plausibly understood in her opinion to be abusive. Like when he grabbed her by the arms to sit her down, she could think that was abusive. When he accidentally headbutted her, she could have thought it was on purpose and think that it was abusive. I'm just saying that's something at least I feel like I can be talked into. That bottle thing, though, I just think was not true. And I'm not saying those other things were true. I'm just saying, by a greater weight of the evidence or clear and convincing actual malice, were they actually false? That's more difficult. Nicholas, a lot of questions on if Team AH will be sanctioned. Okay, that's what you meant. The Leibowitz case will show how hard it is. It took years before he started getting sanctions. That depends on the jurisdiction. In our jurisdiction, the Florida Supreme Court created a group to write a bunch of new rules. And one of the focuses of the rules was sanctioning lawyers for bad behavior and sanctioning clients for bad behavior. So it's about to get a lot easier in my state to sanction lawyers, but every state and jurisdiction is a little bit different. Danielle Peterson, can you do a video after the verdict with evidence that wasn't admitted and see if that changes your opinion at all? Yes, I'm not going to listen to hundreds of hours of videos, but I'm going to look at evidence that wasn't admitted in one video, and then I'm going to compare the UK trial in one video. Those are two more Depp v. Heard videos I'm planning on doing post-trial. Kevin Laxalt. Rottenborn said the jury has to find in favor of Amber Heard if they think JD abused her even once. But is that true? Do they have to vote that way? No. I think it's true that technically it could fit in to a verdict in favor of Amber Heard, but I don't think that they have to vote that way, especially not on the counterclaim, because the counterclaim was more specific to the hoax, and then especially not to the sexual violence claim because That obviously is more specific in its language. Kim Ripley. If Amber loses and files for bankruptcy to avoid paying an award, can the court attach her future earnings to the award, especially if she makes money on this case with a book deal, etc.? I am not a bankruptcy attorney. Here we have been a creditor in some bankruptcy cases when we're trying to collect. We have attached assets. We have garnished wages in the future before on cases, so I know it can be done. I'm not positive about this jurisdiction, and I'm not a bankruptcy lawyer, so I can't give you a real good answer on that, Kim. But it is possible in certain cases, in certain jurisdictions, yes. Steph H. Fucci case, just heartbreaking, but I'm so interested to see how that one goes. Thank you. We will keep doing. That's actually one Pete Sardis is handling. Oh, and then Gabby Petito is another one we will be following right here in our backyard. And JB on WFLA 8. Hopefully we can get on there with him on that case as well. And again, as a reminder, Tuesday morning around 9 o'clock, I'm going to be on WFLA 8. So hit your reminder for that. That's 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Beverly, this summer would love to see a discussion of the future of NIL in college football, along with the emergent legal toothlessness of the NCAA. Yeah, it's insane, but I feel like I'm a little salty about it and maybe a little bitter and biased against the NIL because Florida State got screwed because of the NIL. I'm the number one recruit this year. I know our boy, I'll call him our boy just this once, Beverly, because I know you're in Texas. I don't know if you're an A&M fan. I can't remember. But I know somebody in here is an A&M fan. It might have been you, but our boy Jimbo went off on it. But yeah, we will see kind of how it all turns out, and maybe we will touch on that subject. Okay, you guys are all awesome. This was fun. A bit of a shorter one. This is kind of a nice, easy 1 hour discussion on things. But it was fun. Thanks everybody for joining me tonight. Hope you all have a wonderful night, and we'll be back this week with more content on Johnny Depp and other things. Catch tomorrow our Kate Magbanua, call her Kate. I called her Kate M throughout the Dan Markel murder trial. We did a recap that's posting tomorrow, so check that out. Hit the like button on your way out and tell your friends to subscribe. But for now, that's all we got. Thanks for being with us. We're out of here. Stay strong for the last comment. We love that you don't swear. You have class, are not all over the place like many law tubers, guys. Share Peter's page. Love the fam and love your dad. Thank you and good night.